Hey crew, I've got the key to this 21 Lexus RC F Fuji Speedway Edition. We are going to take it for a drive, but first, let's check out how it looks on the inside and outside. The limited production Fuji, you can tell it from the regular RCF on the exterior by all this exposed carbon fiber, like here on the hood and front splitter. These triple beam LED headlights are optional, looking good. These 19-inch matte black forged alloy BBS wheels are standard on the Fuji edition. They look sweet. And from within those, you've got red painted carbon ceramic brakes, 6-piston front and 4-piston rear. Carbon fiber side skirt on the Fuji. Looking at the profile, looks pumped up, ready for track duty. Getting to the rear end, how could you ignore the massive fixed rear wing, also in carbon fiber. Down low, we've got a titanium exhaust system on the Fuji, quad outlet, and a carbon fiber diffuser. You're not going to easily confuse this with the standard RCF, that is for sure. Let's take a peek at that interior now. Inside, we find a circuit red accented interior. Beautiful looking sport bucket seats. They're trimmed in leather and Alcantara for the inserts. You've got F badges on the seat headrests and 2 pass-throughs for your harnesses if you plan on taking it to the track. Lexus for the tread plates. Red accented carbon fiber trim, that is cool. Alcantara and leather in the door inserts. Get into the back, pull on these levers here, and we find 2 bucket style sports seats. The front seat is going to power slide forward, and I'm going to try to make my way back here. Pulling the seat back to see if I fit. More Alcantara for the panels here. This is a cheapy piece of plastic though. You've got air vents but no USB ports or third zone of climate control. This is a problem. So at 6 feet tall, behind my own driving position, my knees are definitely pressed into the seat and my head is tilted forward. That's not going to be comfortable. So these seats are definitely going to be for small adults or kids. Moving back up to the front, I'm a sucker for that red carpeting right there. Drivers get this perforated leather wrap steering wheel with a red piece of leather down here in F Sport badge, but I feel like it's missing a red center marker. That would make sense on a track dedicated car like this one. You do get a digital TFT here, zoned as your tachometer and then telemetry off to the left, analog speedo off to the right, red leather housing, no head-up display. There's a 10.3-inch infotainment, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, but no touchscreen. You gotta use this trackpad down here, and it's not great. Leather-wrapped, red-stitched gear selector, red accented carbon fiber on the passenger side, and I'll tell you what, if you can get around the dated look of the dashboard here and tech, this is a stunning looking cabin. Let's take it for a drive. Okay, let's fire it up. V8. Get a little animation on the infotainment screen. We're just going to go ahead and ignore the fact that I've changed my clothes for this driving portion and get right into backing it up and looking at the terrible resolution rear view camera. Oh, that's bad. You can have a different view at it if you want. You got to use the trackpad, of course. Boom. Now it's wider and more distorted. But yeah, that's your tech side of things in the RCF Fuji Speedway Edition. We're starting in just normal drive mode. Just going to start in normal as we make our way out of here. And let's talk about this engine. 5-liter naturally aspirated V8. That's a rarity these days. It makes 472 horsepower and 395 pound-feet of torque. It's sending power to just the rear wheels via a 8-speed automatic gearbox. And let me tell you, when you're cruising about, granted I'm not putting any throttle in right now because I'm going downhill, it's a little gem. It's a peach. Humming along in the background. And the adaptive dampers in this car right here are very Lexus. And that's to say that though this is a dedicated track car, it still rides like a Lexus. Let's see about that turning radius. No front-facing camera or overhead view to tell you how it looks, but it feels real tidy. That's a nice turning radius. And how about the horn? How's it sound? Dinky or... That sounds a little train-esque. And as we move into sport mode, which I thought I did, there we go. Little change on the digital instrument cluster. And let's dig into that NAV8 soundtrack. Now, other hardware to speak of for the RC F Fuji Speedway Edition, as we mentioned from the exterior walk around, we've got carbon ceramic brakes. That's a big deal. And when it comes to our handling, we're going to be thankful for the Torsen limited slip rear differential. And now, sport mode is not the most aggressive drive mode, but we're going to do a warm up. The tires have been lightly heated as I got out here. Michelin Pilot Sport 4S rubber is good. It's not the most aggressive compound. Interesting for a track dedicated car like this. I'll tell you what's aggressive. Oh, that motor. Here we go into Sport Plus. Another change on the gauge cluster. You got Sport Plus there on the infotainment. Oh, this motor on full song is bliss. The steering got heavier. Now, it's not the quickest rack. It tucks in, but you gotta kind of set up for it a half second earlier than in some of the competitors for this RCF. But the feedback through the wheel is very good. God, can't get enough of that motor. Downshifted in a strange spot there as I lifted off the throttle. I'm going to try my own shifting next time. So I'll go into manual mode, though I could just pull a paddle and that would give me manual mode for as long as I was using them. And these paddles, before I get into this, they feel a little dinky. The smooth surface of whatever paint on this plastic is okay, but the material themselves feel a little dinky. However, actuating the paddles, well, that's nice. Oh. And those downshifts are quick. Get that little auditory beep at redline. That's great because you don't have a head-up display to give you the clue that you're approaching redline if you're keeping your eyes up on the road. Oh my gosh, magical noise. Stringing it out to that 7,200 RPM redline is a treat. And in manual mode, this gearbox is ready to shift quickly. And it's much more satisfying to pull the paddle yourself. More engaging, and boy, it gets moving. Oh, does it get moving. Oh, I'm gonna miss noises like this. What about in more tighter, technical environments? Oh, goodness. The suspension is firmed up, that's for sure. Now it's feeling like a track car. And the engine is so ready to pounce. The torque vectoring, sorry, limited slip differential, they swapped that out from the RCF. Willing and able to get the power to the wheel with traction. These brakes, let's hit them. Got a little sketch there, I'm shocked. The initial bite was good, but then it kind of faded in performance. Yeah. I kind of expected shorter stopping distances. Now granted, this vehicle, even though it weighs 178 pounds less than the standard RCF, is not a featherweight. It's kind of just dipping into the 38.8 100-pound territory. Blame that V8, makes a great noise, but it still weighs a ton. And you know, the more I think about it, it's probably not the carbon ceramics based on the feel I have from the brakes. They're stout. It might be the tires that are the actual limiting factor here to shorter stops. Carbon ceramics don't usually give up in the way that I'm feeling the braking distances. Now, before we jump back into a more luxurious drive mode, we're going to keep it in Sport Plus, go to drive instead of manual mode, and hit the traction control button once, which turns off stability control, and then we'll hit the launch control button, which gives us 3 seconds, holding it at 2,000 RPM or just below. Here we go. Still struggling for traction, but there is your quick launch. Now, I've done tests with the tires fully warmed up in this car, and I got a 0 to 60 time of about 4.4 seconds. And that's right around what Lexus claims. I couldn't get what Car and Driver was able to do, a 4-second dead launch to 60. And that means that this car, rear wheel tested, is going to be slower than cars like the M4 or the C63 or the Audi RS5 to 60. Top speed, though, at 168 miles per hour is higher than its main rivals, who are typically limited to 155. And with those performance details ironed out, let's go to normal mode. Let the Lexus do its luxury stuff. Immediately softens up those dampers. The cabin is well insulated. The seats remain incredibly comfortable, as they were supportive through those curves back there. And let's recap. So, from a performance standpoint, this vehicle is intended to be a dedicated track car, and I have no doubt it would do well on the track. It needs better rubber if you're going to get the most out of it. I think that would enable the carbon ceramics to do their full job of stopping the car quickly. The gearbox in manual mode is excellent. The engine always sounds good, always pulls strong. No complaints about any of those things. The weight savings in the corners, you can definitely feel it relative to a standard RCF. It's quicker to change direction, more willing. However, the price tag of this car is $98,000 to start, as tested $102,500, and that's with navigation. Why would you do that? Just use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and the Mark Levinson sound system, which, sure, if you value your sound system, this is a decent one. So okay, I can see spending money on that. About $100,000 is what we're talking about here. Rivals like the M4, the RS5, the C63 all start in the low to mid 70s. And granted, the last M4 I tested was not a competition model, so it made less power than this, about 3 horsepower less. And yet, it also cost $100,000 with the options that I have in there. So this price isn't astronomically high, and what you do get is some exclusivity. It looks like a freaking track car. It looks awesome with all that carbon fiber, all the aero. And they're only making, what, they made like 60 units for 21, and they're gonna make another like 60 for 22, and I'm guessing they're gonna cut it there. So you get some exclusivity with this car, but the performance being probably a little lighter than cars that aren't even positioned as dedicated track cars means that you're taking a little bit of a hit there to the ego, right? Not how it looks, but probably to the ego. With outdated technology, a very nice cabin, I mean, come on, red carpet, you have to really want what Lexus is offering here. I mean, really, really want it to shell out $100,000 for this car. But if you want it, and you value that V8 soundtrack, it's delivering. It is delivering. I hope you guys have enjoyed these POV drive impressions, and I will see you again next time. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, share, please. See you next time.